Namaste and very good evening to you, all of you. I think it's one of the first Youth 2 seminar that I'm addressing to all CIS country members. I hope we will come to take advantage of such virtual sessions because of pandemic is forcing us to do so. Otherwise, it would have been nicer to have you all at Ghana in India. A small virus which you cannot even see in a small microscope has changed the lifestyle of everyone, including that of presidents, politicians, priests, communities, the way we do business, the way we educate ourselves, everything have changed. And same thing happens in our lives when we make small changes, small adjustments. And after all, when we ponder over what is transmission, then we get really surprised by its effect. I suppose you all have experienced effect of transmission already during your meditations and how wonderful these meditations become. Without this transmission, we will not be able to go deeper within ourselves and see things clearly. It is this transmission from the source that nourishes our spirit. And when we try to observe the nature of this transmission, and when we feel that it is beyond energy, it is something beyond even observable thing. We can only see the impact of it, just like light. None of us are able to see what light is, but we can see the impact of light when it falls on objects. Even light has some energy, some photons, but transmission does not even have even slightest of energy part involved with it. I would like you to see how Brighter Mind programs work. I don't know if you have seen it or not. I think even though you all are young, you're already too old for Brighter Mind programs because it's most effective between the age of 5 and 15. And I like to share with you what some of these children are able to do. Basically, their intuitive ability simply skyrockets. They become excellent with their intuitive capacity to feel things beyond 5 senses with which we are used to. How does that happen? For example, when they close their eyes and you give them a paper with something written on it, you fold it, they will be able to read what you have written. They can see the colors of objects. They can also paint with blindfold. And when we see all these things, we remain baffled. How is that possible? Even more baffling is when I have given something written in Russian and a child is able to, they don't read Russian, but they are able to tell you the essence of what is written on the paper. How does this thing happen? So one keeps wondering that since we don't use any senses at the moment, when a child closes his eyes, how does this knowledge or the information gets passed on? And we say, okay, he feels through intuition, but how does this intuition also gets triggered beyond senses? Science is coming more and more to an understanding that there is a field we call quantum field, and through this quantum field many things remain registered there. Unknowingly, somehow these children are able to tap into it, resonate with that and get the information. Your countries are, I think, far more ahead in this research uh, related to quantum field and how to get into these quantum realities and help human beings heal themselves. So I take it for granted that you all are quite cognizant of it, fully aware of all such extraordinary things that are possible. See, while I was in India, I could appreciate the transmission from Babuji Maharaj during my college days. But when I went to United States to adopt a new career in my life, and I used to wonder how will this transmission reach me in New York. So it was such a joy that moment you close your eyes and moment you think of transmission, even before you think, before you complete your thought, you are already engulfed by transmission. I'm sure so many of you are already experienced with this transmission, and now me, now at the feet of my Babuji Maharaj, when he has given me the role of transmission, I keep wondering still how beautiful, magical things are unfolding because of this transmission. Now I'm able to understand in this present capacity as how Babuji used to work from his little village of Shahjahanpur throughout the globe. He would work even when we were at sleep. He would work even when he was himself at sleep. So it's a mystical thing how this transmission works. You all are very young people and open minded, so I would like to share some more things which are not well understood, but you have a long life ahead of you, and I hope you would take up this research when you grow up and go into research field, scientific research. What little I can understand, I would love to share with you. Once Babuji Maharaj encouraged research is to be done on spirituality, especially Sahaj Marg way of meditation. So people who were given this task of research, they began the experimenting on frog's heart, and they would transmit to the frog's heart and measure cyclic AMP, glucose, other neurotransmitters. Then Babuji Maharaj would say, no, 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 no. What you are doing is not right. You have to improve your ways of doing research. But he did not elaborate it further. But he did give a hint that with transmission you can do anything. Then he gave a small example that if there is a patient, a person who is suffering with high blood pressure, and you offer prayer, and along with this prayer, you transmit with an intention, prayerful intention, that this person's blood pressure is becoming normal. And similar scenario can arise when someone's blood pressure drops, very low. Then what do? Same prayer and transmission with intention. So low can be brought to higher, higher can be brought to the lower. So how does transmission work? And I have in my life seen many cases. Let us say if you want to put a person to sleep, you transmit, person goes to sleep. But if a person is on a border, for example, fighting a war somewhere in some foreign country with your enemies, for example, it will not be proper for you to sleep while you are fighting on the border. Or take for another example, when you are stressed because of exams or because of some tests, because of interview, then preceptor can transmit and make someone's heart at peace. But I would not advise to make someone very peaceful and stress free, so much so that it becomes lazy. And this such unfortunate things cannot happen. Even if somebody wants to create abnormal thing, nature will prevent it. So no one can do a wrong thing. That I don't say, Katrina, may you become so stressed. No, it will not work. But when you are stressed, and I pray that may Katrina becomes very peaceful, it will work. So transmission in itself does not create anything special, but transmission creates special spiritual conditions based on the intention that is put behind the transmission. So we all have actually the power of intention. And because of this power of intentions, many things can unfold. You can use this power of intention in your day to day life. For example, when you have to play a game, or when you have to wake up early in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, or something that you'd like to do very specifically, then you close your eyes before you go to sleep, pray once, make a intention that I would like to get up at 5, and I assure you something will happen and you will wake up at 5. When such beautiful things are possible, I think many greater and more happy things can happen, happier things can happen because of this transmission. This is what I have so far said with you. It's absolutely materialistic, very worldly. But we have to invoke this transmission for even a greater benefit, spiritual benefit. Think for a moment, close your eyes and think for a moment. How would you like to see yourself 5 years from today? I like the title of the seminar, Youth 2.0. Have you thought what was 1.0 or what is 1.0 that now you are thinking of 2.0? So you have to know the difference between 1.00 and 2.00. So what is the difference? How would you like to see yourself in your next version? Or think for a moment that you are 90 years old. Would you be happy with the lifestyle that you carry on with at 90? What will be your version, your final version before you take your last breath? If I continue with the same lifestyle, same thought pattern, same habits, same behavior, will I be able to change myself in one more month or one more year? Think over it. If my habits, my behavior, my thoughts and my action remains the same, then I cannot transform myself. At least on my own, I will not be able to transform myself. But if I want to change myself, then I will have to change the way I think, the way I behave, the way I conduct my life. So before we go to bed, at least we teach this and we do this in heartfulness way of practice, where before we go to bed, we say, okay, where did I go wrong? Did I do it by intention or it was without intention? So I have to find out where did I go wrong and how did I go wrong. And next step would be how to correct so that I don't repeat the same mistake again. I don't think there is ever anybody born on this planet who has never made a mistake. We all have committed mistakes somewhere along the life. Somewhere at some juncture, we end up making mistakes. That's okay. Babuji used to say that there is only one person who does not make a mistake, and that person is someone who does nothing. Perhaps you might smile and laugh and say, yes, that itself is a mistake, that he's not doing anything. But he'll become very serious and say, there is nothing wrong in making mistakes as long as you don't repeat them. So, what we are looking for through this practice is to identify where we have gone wrong and to know where I am going, what I have to become. And once you have crystallized in your mind that I like to become this, you may not fully understand that I want to become this, but at least you know in which direction you want to go. Then you offer your prayer at bedtime with an intention to arrive at that state or go in that direction, and this transmission will carry you through. I assure you of that. Intentions without actions will not be good, though. We have to do something. For example, that you want to become very compassionate, very heartful, very loving, versus you say, okay, I would like to become a very rich person. I want to pass this exam and get a PhD, or I would like to become a doctor or a nurse. See, we are now tackling with two dimensions of our lives. One is something like becoming compassionate, which is qualitative. And there is something else that I like to become something mentally, for example, mentally educated, to become a doctor or a nurse, or I do some practices so that I can become a good sports person. So now we are tackling three different scenarios. Now, in each dimension, depending on our intention and the amount of efforts that we put into it, the success can be either 10% or 100% more. For example, when I make an intention that let me love my mother or father more, instantly it is created in your heart. But when I make an intention, I like to become a sports person or become a doctor, it's not going to happen instantaneously. You'll have to work for it. But I assure you, through meditation, you will always be guided what I need to do next. During each meditation, you will be guided what to do next. And keep following those instructions from your heart, and you'll see a big success. Your life will be changed forever. So, thank you. I think that's all I wanted to share with you. That make good intention, dream what I would like to see myself. Instead of saying youth too, just say the final version of Katrina or Katyana, Katya final. Okay. Thank you, thank you. Do you have any question, Katya?
Thank you, Master, so much. Actually, we have some questions prepared in advance, and if you have still have time, we can also ask the questions from our audience.
Go ahead. Let's say I have another 15 minutes for you.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much. So let us start with this that prepared in advance. So the first one is we live in a world where we have easy access to all kinds of information. On the one hand, it's a big advantage because the world becoming more and more transparent. On the other hand, sometimes a fear appears that I can miss something very important for me. How can I cope with this excessive amount of information?
How to cope with the excessive amount of information?
Information, yes.
Stop looking around. It's like this. When do you know when to stop eating? When you have gone to a nice restaurant, your parents have taken you there, and it's a nice meal, but you feel at one point that it's enough. Similarly, with information also, we feel it's enough. Let me digest it first. Let me see what I learn from these informations. First of all, when I open up, let us see, 5 6 topics that comes to my mind. Is this topic going to help me? Is this what I like? Is this what will improve my next version? So we have to filter those things, and when we are meditative, automatically you will reject unnecessary things. Automatically you will say, this is not for me, this is not for me, this is not for me, and your heart will say, okay, read this and learn something from this. Suppose someone gives you the information how to rob a bank. A lot of information how to do it yourself. They say DIY, right? Would you do that? You wouldn't do it. Only because you are interested, you somehow make a diversion. But this interest also you have to see that if I follow this interest pattern, will it help me evolve? If it's not, just drop it.
So we have one more question.
Please. Okay.
So, Master, you used to encourage youngsters on approaching to final version of ourselves. But does final version exist if we constantly have to evolve? How can we imagine that final state?
You will always have to imagine final. Always. There is no final in spirituality, because the journey is infinite. And if when the journey is infinite, the final version will have many possibilities. So as you go along, some new vistas open up. You go there, new possibilities are there, and new possibility. So it's a constantly evolving heart, looking for evolutionary ideas as we go on. I may like to become so and so, but then having reached near that stage, I may totally change my mind and say, okay, not this, now I have to become that. So, this constant improvement is the key. But as of now, this is the version I'd like to become. Then, when I see that version and I see a better version after that, and so it is always a constant improvement. It is like a journey on the mountain. As you go on the mountain, when you are driving, because of the fog in the morning, you don't see beyond 30 feet, or you don't see beyond 100 feet. But when you drive another 100 feet, you will be able to see more 100 feet. So, like that, also, our consciousness, I don't know what I would like to become after 10 years. I don't know. But I know what I can do by tomorrow or for next 6 months. So at least I should know in which direction I'm going. That's all. Final version, we're just talking it just like that because of this youth too, and next version and next version and next version. So there is no end to it.
Thank you.
I would like to have a sitting. We all sit and meditate. I would like to also offer my prayers so that there may be more peace in Belarus and countries affected by violence and injustice. We pray to God, may peace prevail there. And let's all meditate for another about 25 minutes. And at the end of it, Katya, you can say that's all. And now I'll log off and I'll go in my room and sit and meditate with you all. Is it
Yes,
okay?
sure. Yes, for how many minutes you said?
25.
25, okay.
And please pray for countries like Belarus and other countries affected by violence and injustice.
Yes.
Like what's happening now in Albania. And thank you.
Thank you, Master, so much.
Let's all meditate. That's all.